Hello and welcome back, and today I am going to be drawing some little cherry blossoms. So first you get like a fine tip pen, a pink pen, and like a jelly kind of pen, which turns out to be like a little gold. Right here there is like a little video tutorial that you can watch, which I point out later, but it is a QR code, so I'm covering it up so that you can't see what it is. So you get 3 pieces of paper, and I'm only going to be doing 2 today because I wanted to save the third one for another time that I had more time to do it. Here is video tutorial. But yeah, I just want to save the third one so I can just do that one later. But here it is. So I'm watching the video tutorial so you can see my hand. Every once in a while kind of pausing the video and just following along, going as quick as I can to follow along with it. Just then adding on like little petals, which I think made this one turn out a lot better than the second one that I did, because in the second one I didn't follow the tutorial and I just used whatever I had learned in the tutorial to try and do it myself. But I definitely think following along the tutorial would be better because it made it turn out a lot neater, and you'll see the second one, it just doesn't look as good, but they still look both pretty good. As I was doing this, I kept on thinking that I wasn't doing it properly, and I kept on thinking that the petals were too rounded, so I tried to add a few pointed parts, but I think it still turned out pretty good. Then adding little dots like it says in the tutorial, just adding little dots for the inside part of the flower. Adding in a few lines, and then actually doing the outline. For this one, I made the outline a lot darker than the second one, and in the second one I tried to make it a little bit more loose, but it made it in the end a lot lighter. So this one is definitely darker. But yeah, just going over the outline of the flowers, adding in a few little creases, and then making these little buds of the flowers. And every once in a while they would cut angles in the video tutorial, so it was a little bit difficult to see what was going on, and especially because I was trying to complete it all while the tutorial was still going and not pause it so much. So yeah, that was a little bit difficult. Adding on the leaf, and in theirs it was a little bit shakier, so you'll see it me trying to fix the leaf later, which kind of made it just a little bit darker. Adding in little lines to the actual flower petals, forgetting I had a little bud left, and then trying to dry off the ink so that when I erase it, it won't smudge, because I've had that happen to me so many times. And if you've seen my little sea creatures video where I drew a ton of sea creatures, there was a few times where I accidentally smudged some of the ink when I was erasing. So I tried to do this so that it wouldn't smudge as much. Adding a few more lines to the flower petals, and seeing how they do little hash marks, so just doing a few hash marks wherever they did them. Figuring out that the leaf was a little bit darker, but I left it for a little bit, and then I decided, okay, I'm gonna fix it. So here's me trying to make it a little bit more how they made it in the video, which I think it actually did turn out pretty good. Then adding in the pink color. For this, I kind of just went ahead, paused the video, went ahead and colored every part of the top 2 big leaves, and then went to go get some water, back with a little tin of water and a few Q-tips, and then just smudging the pink, which I think looks really nice. And I tried to make a few lines because theirs had a few of the lines still there, but I still think it turned out pretty good in the end, and it all came together in the end. Then doing the closed flower, smudging that all out. And you can see on the top of the first Q-tip that I used, it's a little bit darker from the ink, so a bit of the ink did go on. Then doing the little buds. And then there it is. I kept on watching the video and they did a few more little lines with the pink on top. So I added that. Then they smudged that out, so I smudged that out. Adding a little bit more water just to help blend it a little bit more. And then trying to pick up some of the water. Just fixing up a few of the hash marks where they told me, I guess, to put some. And then using the little gel pen, which you can see it's kind of like a gold shimmery, which it's more gold and more it shows a little bit more from the very beginning when I first used it. Then I added on a few little dots, and then there's how it turned out. I think it turned out really good, and I thought it wasn't as good, but then looking at the second one, it was a little bit better. I then decided to do a second one without the tutorial, so I forgot a few of the things that I did, and I tried to just make up the pattern of how I wanted it. And you can see how I just went straight in without even sketching out like the shape of the flower petals. So you can see how like they're a little bit more jaggedy and not as smooth, and every single one I tried to make it a little bit smoother, but then it just didn't match the others, so I just ended up making them really jaggedy and not too nice. But anyway, adding on the little lines, and I just combined a ton of the steps into one so that I could kind of try and see if maybe that would make it go by a little bit quicker. Adding on more petals. And then adding on the little dots, lines, more lines, and then little curves part of the flower petals, and then hash marks. I then saw in the other one they kind of had a little bit of a more jagged, or like a not super smooth part for the like sticks part of the flowers, so I just did that to both of them. Then the small flower petal, because I really wanted to redo this one, so I just made a second one, and with the other ones. And I definitely think that one turned out a whole lot better. Dried it off. Then was just erasing all of the pencil marks, and then added on the pink part of the flower with the pen, and there was a little bit of a part where I did mess up and go too far because I was just trying to make quick strokes, but that's okay. Then using my final Q-tip to blend it all out, and this one was a lot lighter, and that's kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to make this second one a whole lot lighter, which I really did get that in the end, so I do think it still turned out pretty good for what I was trying to go for. Blending out this final flower, just blending it out a little bit more, and then adding on a few bits of extra pink. Blending, blending, blending. And then there we go. Added on a few extra hash marks and a few extra little dots because they kind of got lost when I was blending. Trying to darken up this part down here. And then adding the little gold shimmery pieces. Little dots. And then I decided to add on a few little extra parts. And there we go. So here's both of them. I definitely think the first one turned out a little bit better than the second one, but I did get what I was going for, so I still do like it in the end. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next week. Bye!